Hello YouTube, this is Andre from the Small Dudes Fish Tanks, and here's the 40 gallon, 40 long. You can see I cleaned the filter so the water flow is restored. Well, the filter intake rather. I drained the water till about there and filled it back up, so that's maybe 1/3 of the water, 30% water change. And I just threw in some food for the Cory cats. I threw in 7 of these pellets, or they're actually called wafers. That's the product right there that I use. It's made by Hikari, algae wafers. You can see I'm balancing this piece of cardboard on my head and on the fish tanks because it's the afternoon. And right there is a west-facing window, and my face is being hit by sunlight, and that's glaring in the tank, so you can just clearly see my face in the tank without this piece of cardboard. So that's not very good when I want to film the tank. One thing I really like about this tank is the fact that you have like the ripple effect of the light. Because of the rippling of the surface, the light is kind of rippling, which is interesting. I don't know why that happens. Like on the 90 gallon, there are 3 fluorescent tubes, and the surface is rippling all along the surface because of the filter and the air stone, just like in this tank. But there is no ripple effect of the light. Is that because it's a fluorescent lamp? Is there something special about a fluorescent lamp, or something special about sunlight? I tried putting an LED on the 90 gallon tank, an LED light, and I saw that it had that same ripple effect. Although, no, it wasn't the same ripple effect. It was significantly different from how it looks now. I really like the way that looks, actually. It looks natural. Because it is natural. People are walking above me. The pleco was just out. I didn't acknowledge that. I don't know where he went. I was talking. So, I actually haven't counted the amount of Cory cats I have for a while now. When I put them in the tank, I had 7 of them. So, I fed them now, and I'm just sitting here quietly, not spooking them. Not 7 in total, just 7 of the gray ones. I forget what. Oh wait, no, they're called punctatus, I think. I don't know how you pronounce that. Punctatus Cory cats. Sounds kind of silly. So let me count how many there are. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I see 8 right away. Oh wait, there's the pleco. He's just sitting really still. He blends in well. He's looking out. He's peering out. You can see the bottom half of his body is hidden behind the driftwood, and the front half is peering out because he sees that I'm here, and he's like, "Is it safe? I don't know if it's safe." So he is kind of skittish. I always had the 2 albinos there. I've had them for almost as long as I've been in the hobby. One of them I bought 2 months after I got into the hobby. The other one I bought 6 months after I got into the hobby. Each time I bought them with more than 1 albino Cory cat, but only those 2 survived. And the reason I know exactly, I know that 1 survived out of the first batch I bought, and 1 survived out of the second batch is because one of the ones that I bought out of the first batch has a deformity. That guy right there. You see his tail is a bit crooked. So he was the last one that remained at that group, so I only had, they dwindled down to one, and then for Christmas I got 4 new ones, and out of those, only that guy survived. I had quite a lot of disasters in the early stages of my, I'm still in the early stage of my hobby, in the early days of my hobby, yeah. There's the Pleco. Focus. Come on. Stupid phone. Okay, yep. He's kind of skittish, but he wants to eat. He's hungry. I put 7 algae wafers in there. The reason I'm questioning the amount of the gray corycats that are in the tank is because they bred twice. You can see there's a small guy right there. You can see that he's really small. He or she is really small compared to these guys. So there's at least 2 new ones. Let me count them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Counted 9 that time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I think there's 9 in there. 9's the most I'm counting to. There might be 10, who knows. So that means that there's at least 2 new ones. So I think both of those new ones are from the first time they spawned, and from the second time they spawned, no one survived. Or the ones that survived are still too small for me. They're too small to come out. They're still hiding. Because, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe no one survived. There was only a few eggs, that I saw. They were right here. I checked around the tank, but I didn't see. Maybe they spawned on a leaf or something and I didn't see it. I only saw 4 eggs on the front of the glass. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so I'm counting 9 of them. So there's 9. This room's absolutely gorgeous right now. And it's getting better every day. There's the piece of cardboard. I was just balancing it on this tank and that tank and on my head while filming. Ever since I tied these things up like that, the pothos, I've really, it's been a while since these lids have been exposed like this. Since they were just cleared of everything. Kind of like the look. I was thinking about what plants I'll put there. I have so many plants to choose from. I have this entire bin that's filled with Java moss. Just a big mat of Java moss that's thick. I can spread it out over half of this surface area easily. The entire surface area if I do it scantily. So Java moss. I also have willow moss, which will provide some variety. I also have at least 10 different, more than 10, way more than 10, close to 20 different native types of moss, which are all growing in super humid conditions, which would gladly live on a drip wall with, a tank down below, pumps water. There's a PVC pipe with holes drilled in it. Water runs down there and plants grow on there, so it's really moist. So basically all of these species of moss will gladly live on there. So that's about 10 different species. I have this right here, which is a liverwort. It's called Riccia flutans, RICCIAFLUTANS. I basically just manufacture it in this tank. Like, there's a lot of it in here, like a lot. This is a 40 breeder, so it's however many inches long. That's a lot of Riccia. It can easily cover a big portion of that. And this is how it looks when it grows up out of the water, but like still in moist conditions. So that's how it would look if it's when it's on the wall. So it's pretty cool. I can have water wisteria. You can see I have a bunch of it growing in here, and this is how it looks when it's grown out of the water. So I can just clip this where there's still roots there, and just plug it into whatever medium I have the water running over, and it'll grow really well. I've noticed that come on, Rotala indica that I floated here, it has begun to acquire above water growth. So you can see kind of this right here is how it looks under the water. This right here at the tip, the new growth, is how it looks above the water. So you can see it has much broader leaves, and it's kind of hard to show that. Let me put it on the glass, position it, focus please. That right there is underwater growth, that right there is above water growth. So I can have Rotala indica growing on there. So then I also have this plant. It's some sort of pennywort. It's the same kind of pennywort that I have in here. You can see it has absolutely massive leaves. Like, that's my hand, and that's the pennywort. There you go. Stupid. Always jams. Fix this lid. One of the lights burned out, and I switched out, and I like this light a lot more because it has a lot more green wavelengths, and that it just looks better to the human eye than this light, even though both are about equal at growing plants. Other than the fact that this one just produces more intensity. I was just talking about the spectrum, but this one does also have more intensity. You can just see from the size without even looking at any of the specs. Here's a cool thing about these LEDs. Look, I'm gonna turn them off, and see they glow for some time after I turn them off. Turn it on, turn it off. Isn't that cool? Same thing with this light. I turn it off. Saw it? Isn't that cool? Yeah. Yeah, so that species of pennywort will gladly grow on that wall. The one that's in here, I'll take everything off for the sake of the video. That species of pennywort right there will gladly grow on it. The Ficus pumila, probably not the begonia. The aluminum plant will gladly grow there. These ferns will both gladly grow on there. That's Java moss that's grown above water. Come on, focus. So basically most of the things in this tank will also grow. Also, what will grow on there is lichen. Here's a piece of lichen that grows in here. It's reindeer lichen. There's a bunch of different types. I don't know what type that is. It's not an organism. It's a symbiosis between. It's more than one organism. It's a fungus, which provides the kind of the structure of it, and an algae, which photosynthesizes and provides itself and the fungus which it's living in with sugars, energy from the sun. So it's a symbiotic relationship between a photosynthetic organism and a fungus. Pretty cool. Lichens are pretty cool. Um, so yeah, a bunch of different stuff: lichens, mosses, ferns, pennyworts, different rotellas, a bunch of different rotellas. Got to put this back in. A bunch of different Ludwigias. This plant, Syngonium podophyllum, and a bunch of other Syngoniums. This Alocasia will gladly grow there. Basically, anything that loves moisture or loves having its roots moist or submerged in water will gladly grow on this wall. Ugh. Yeah, I mean, this tank is it's gonna be a while before I finish it. I don't have the tank yet, and I don't have the pump yet. I do have the PVC pipe, so really I just need the tank, the pump, and whatever material I will choose to make this out of. I could use expanding foam. Right now I'm leaning towards sponge, especially a finer sponge, which will capture debris that's run over it. So I'll have the filter in the tank. It'll not only pump water, but it'll pump any debris that's in the water, which will be made by fish and any other creatures that live in the aquarium. And that debris is really important because it'll get lodged in the pores in the sponge, and it will stay there, and it'll decompose and provide a lot of nutrients for the plants. Um, that'll be really good. But this is going to be a long-term project. Before I even get it started, I'm definitely not starting it before summer, or when this quarantine thing, when this pandemic blows over, whichever one's later. Um, this tank, I'm probably gonna do a water change tomorrow, and then add more fertilizers, and maybe add more light, because this tank is kind of, compared to these tanks, it's actually low light. With 3 fluorescent bulbs on there, it's pretty low light compared to these tanks. These tanks are all getting blasted with sunlight. So I'm, well, not me, my parents are paying for the electricity for this tank. Those are completely free. Well, don't have to spend anything on lighting them, and they get more light than this tank. So I wish this entire wall was just a window, but it's not like that. So I'm probably gonna, well, I'm thinking about switching to LEDs for this tank. The problem with that is that, well, first of all, the reason I want to switch to LEDs is because these are fluorescent bulbs, and they are much less efficient than LED bulbs. So these, I don't know how many watts this 2 bulb one is, but I know that this 1 bulb, fluorescent light is 40 watts. This LED right here is, let me tell you right now, it is 17.5 watts. Look at how much light that is. That's just insane. I put it on that tank, it was twice the light of the 3 of those combined, over half the tank, because it can only, if I put it like right there, it'll only light up about that much. So 2 of them, or 3 of them would be brighter than the 3 of those combined. Sorry, the 3 bulbs, the 2 light fixtures on there combined and it would be slightly more than the small fixture. If that one's 40 watts, it's safe to assume that the other one's 80 watts. So the combination is 120. If that's 17 and a half, 17 and a half times 3 is 30, 21, 51, 52 and a half watts. So that's that's less than half of the power. So LEDs are obviously a lot less, a lot more efficient. But the thing the reason, there's a couple of reasons why I'm not immediately making the decision of switching to LEDs. One is that they produce a narrow range of wavelengths, and that so they might be brighter, but they might produce less photosynthetically active radiation, so less wavelengths, and yeah, I don't know enough about it to really talk about it that much, but if you were to show a graph of all the x-axis is the different wavelengths that the light produces, and the y-axis is the intensity of each wavelength, then for an LED, it would be like one line. And if you have a bunch, or maybe a few lines, I don't know, and you can have different LEDs, and that'll just be a bunch of lines. For a fluorescent bulb, it's a curve. And it's a curve, meaning that it produces many, many wavelengths, and all the wavelengths in between them. It's a lot smoother. And so that resembles natural light a lot more than an LED. But modern LEDs are becoming better and better. I really have no idea how good these are at producing a wide spectrum. I really have no idea what the spectrum on these is. These are just meant for lighting up your house, really. So I don't know. I think it's definitely worth trying for, cutting down the electricity usage in half. Oh man, I'm getting a sore throat from talking already. I haven't been talking a lot. What else? Yeah, a lot of these plants, aquarium plants, can be used on this wall. Like any one of these crypts, like all of these crypts, the crypt Wendeti, the crypt, this crypt spiralis, this light green crypt, forget what it's called. The Rotala indica, as I already said. This stem plant, forget what it's called. This stem plant, forget what it's called. That one right there, it would probably do better under when it's grown above the water. This chain sword, I think. Well, no, it's not a chain sword. Forget what it's called. This hair grass that I have in here. I actually have hair grass in here. It's just not. What the hell's going on? Oh yeah, it's just the light that's making it through. So I have hair grass in there. Oh man, this dwarf sage. So really, I have dozens of plant choices, and I'll probably use most of them just so I have a large variety, because that's where you get them a really natural look, where you have a large variety of sizes and textures and colors and shapes. Man, I can't speak anymore. My throat's really sore. Alright, end the video.